A long time ago, on a comics page far, far away.
Welcome to this month's episode of Panel Up. I'm John Campbell.
And I am Mike Ergoni.
And this is our monthly pop culture panel. Ooh, shaking the rust off on that one. Yeah, we didn't do one last month.
Because there was nothing to talk about.
Well, I will say, all of a sudden, we were just talking about this before we started recording. All of a sudden, we've been hit with a bunch of stuff very quickly in a row. So before we get into our main topic, we want to quickly run through a couple things that came out. Jurassic World, what's this one called? Rebirth?
Why is it called Rebirth, John?
Because it's got a new cast. I don't know. They really are pulling Resurrection, Resurgence, Rebirth. I mean, it's got to be one of these things now, right?
But I kept thinking, I think we both saw, Jurassic World Rebirth. Not together, but...
No.
I kept thinking the whole time, like, why the fuck are you calling this movie Rebirth? Because it's like, the whole point is that all the dinosaurs are dying.
Yeah, because I mean, and even like the plot of the movie isn't about trying to bring them back.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Bad
right.
SEO.
It was all right.
It was fine. Aggressively okay.
Yeah, I mean, it delivers a lot of dino action. Pretty good.
Spoiler alert, the scummy business guy gets eaten.
Yeah. I mean, the idea that the movie in any way tries to make you think for a single second that guy is not going to betray everyone and then get eaten.
No, it's written all over his face.
Yeah, you're just like, oh, Scarlett Johansson, you're going to work for a businessman in a suit? Oh, this is a Jurassic Park movie. He's not going to be a good guy.
Uh-huh, yeah.
And spoiler, he's not. No, I mean, it is the criticism of people going, there's nothing new here. Fair. Still enjoyed it, though.
And
I like when the dinosaurs go chompa chompa. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, I thought it was fine.
It looked great. I thought it was, Gareth Edwards. It looked fantastic.
There's a stoner boyfriend character in the movie that flip-flops so aggressively between the most annoying character ever put to film and, oh, this is an endearing sweetheart, like every other scene, that it gave me whiplash.
To the point that I still, as you bring him up, I'm like, I still don't actually know where I land on that guy, whether or not I like that character or not. Yeah, it's all right. It's making a shit ton of money. That franchise cannot be stopped.
No matter how hard we try.
It's crazy. I will say it is one of the few like Teflon IPs in Hollywood is the Jurassic franchise, man. And at least based on, I went and saw it like opening day with tons of families and stuff. It has become an all ages family franchise.
I saw it on a Monday evening, like the weekend after it had come out, and the theater was still packed.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's just like, and I saw kids, I saw older people, I saw everybody at the screen, and it's just like, oh, it's just become an enduring thing. We pack up the kids, we're going to Jurassic. It's a good time.
That was so decidedly not a kids movie, but okay.
I put it in the same category. I think I talked about them. We talked about Indiana Jones last year. I guess this is just Spielberg franchises. That these are franchises that didn't start out as kids things, but have been around so long that they've become family franchises. It's very weird. Even though nothing has changed about them. This movie isn't like holding back for being a kids movie by any means.
No, and Jurassic Park has the inherent flaw of, you know what is the best-selling toy ever? Dinosaurs.
Yep. Absolutely. I mean, that's always going to appeal to the kids. I mean, certainly we were, prime, we were OG Jurassic Park fans. We were there, man. We were kids when it came out.
I had that action figure of Jeff Goldblum with like the BattleTech armor that never appears in the film.
Oh, those action figures were so dumb. And the genius decision of There were, of course, how do you brand dinosaur figures? They put that little JP stamp. That's how you knew it was official. That's an official Jurassic Park dinosaur, not one of those lame other dinosaurs. Anyway, totally
I had the
fun.
T-Rex where you could jam the action figure of the guy through the mouth and then pull it out through the belly.
Rad. I mean, a golden age of toys, really. But let's talk about Ironheart is probably the biggest one. Really good, I think.
Yeah. Ironheart fell in that weird category where it started at the end of June and it didn't finish until the beginning of July.
Yeah,
so we were like, can we like fudge this? It was awkward.
Yeah, and like there's been this. Unfortunately, now there's been this thing about like we could have done this as a Jurassic episode. We had to do it as a Superman episode, and then Fantastic Four is coming out right at the end of July, so that'll be next month's episode. So actually, you'll probably get a shorter gap between these episodes than normal because of that. Because we'll be right on to that Fantastic Four episode. But yeah, we had this run of stuff where we were like, geez, we don't have, we only do this once a month. So quickly, your thoughts on Ironheart?
It good.
Very good. Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
I think it was a fun departure from a lot of what we've seen in the Marvel TV shows, insofar as, well, twofold. One, the release method they did with it, where it was just like 2 blops of 3 episodes apiece, I thought was a good novel way of releasing one of these things, especially in something that it seems like, I don't know if there's going to be an actual second season of this. I think Ironheart's story will continue in other things, but I don't know if it will be Ironheart season 2 per se.
That's the thing about the MCU, right? Their shows aren't necessarily, it's the thing about like Agatha All Along has huge strings going forward, but there's not going to be another season of Agatha All Along. But right? I mean, it's an interesting thing of everything. But yeah, there could be, or it could continue into something else.
But I found it very enjoyable to like, okay, 3 episodes of Ironheart one week, we got through it. That hooked us into the show, and then 3 episodes of Ironheart the next week, and that was the payoff for everything. It felt very satisfying to watch.
Very much so, because I really liked the first 3, and then I loved the second 3 in particular. I thought, wow, this thing really builds very nicely, and really lands very satisfyingly. And of course, I guess, spoiler alert for everything we're going to talk about going forward. So we haven't seen Ironheart or Superman, but of course, finally gets people to shut up because Mephisto's in the MCU.
Man, perfect casting?
Absolutely.
Sacha Baron Cohen as the literal devil.
And he is psyched to be there. Oh, this is... Mephisto loves being the devil. Sacha Baron Cohen loves being Mephisto. I mean, it just shows, right? Like, he is having the time of his life here. He
gets 2 scenes in the whole show and just absolutely mugs the crap out of everyone else on set with him.
It's so brilliantly calculated too, because I mean, look, that guy, aside from all the Borat kind of, I don't even know what to call that stuff that he was doing, like activist comedy, like I don't know what
like character focused improvisational activist comedy. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, anyway, aside from all that, the only way you can do that is by being a fucking brilliant actor, which he is and always has been, right? Like, so I mean, the thing about that is like, oh right, yeah, he's actually he's such a good actor that he can make people believe he's someone else to their face,
right?
That when you just give him a part, you're like, oh man, he just sunk his teeth into that, and boy, I love that. And look, I already really liked Dominique Thorne as Riri from Black Panther, so I was happy to see more of her. I love that the show is set in Chicago, which is we haven't really seen in the MCU. I love that even though like the stakes are big, the show presents them in sort of a small way, right? Like we're dealing with things like the devil, but it's still a character focused show.
But it's not like cataclysmic end of the world stuff, right? This is these people are after money and power. And that's kind of the limits of, like, obviously Anthony Ramos's character, Parker Robbins, who's the Hood, is after like power on such a scale that he would become a threat to the larger world. But
Yeah.
it's still, he wants a big house. He wants to screw his dad over because that's, of course,
That
daddy issues.
that reveal, I was like, oh my God, that he's a rich kid who's mad at daddy.
Yeah.
Well, that I thought in terms of the two halves of it, because the whole time he's just like, we're you and I are the same. We've been given a dealt a bad hand by society and circumstance. It's like, no, man, you're just a shitty privileged kid who felt he didn't get enough.
Well, I mean, he was like basically abandoned by his father at a certain point. So I don't know. But
Yeah, I mean, but the fact that all of it ends up being, I'm going to get back at daddy.
right. No, and I like that this is a story about people who think they deserve more and are willing to do some terrible things to get it. And that includes Riri.
Yeah. And whether or not Riri does deserve more, I mean, she's got, I do think, surprise, surprise, a bad faith take online. But I saw a lot of people get irked at the thing about like, so are they saying Tony Stark just was a rich kid and that's why he was successful? It's like, no. If you listen to what she said, it's that the combination of his brains and his money gave him the ability to reach such high levels, and that she has got the brains but not the resources. And that starts with her getting thrown out of MIT at the beginning, which gets our old pal Jim Rash back for a little bit, who I'm always delighted to see.
Is he the dean of MIT as well? I can't tell.
I don't know if he's the dean, but he is like the student services, or it's not, because I think that woman that she was talking to is the dean.
Okay.
But he's he's like whatever in charge of campus research. I don't know.
He's the dean of my heart. I'll say that much.
Yeah. But there is a dean of students. He may be the dean of students and not the dean of the...
Okay. Still a dean. That's important to me for some reason.
Yeah. As long as he's a dean. The man was born to be a dean. Anyway, I love that. The big standout to me, other than the Sacha Baron Cohen stuff, I thought Alden Ehrenreich as Zeke Stain, fucking fantastic.
Yeah, and that was a twist that, like, I don't know if I had not read anything about that being in the show at all.
I had heard like some loose speculation, but just in a, was it, if you 100 monkeys eventually, which is
sure.
We'll talk about that when we get to Superman. But, eventually, right. It's just sort of like, I think I had heard somebody go like, I wonder if he could be like Ezekiel Stain. But, that was among a million other theories. So that's the only thing I heard. But it hadn't leaked. And a great reveal, a great misdirect to ultimately veer him back towards being the comic book character, though, right? Like, at first I went like, wow, this is just 100% not the character from the comics. Okay. And then eventually they build him back to being the villain that he is in the Matt Fraction Iron Man run.
He's not quite like evil Steve Jobs like in the Matt Fraction run, but
they do get him to a place, and I think that I like that they still land him on like he's a guy with a lot of anger. He doesn't have maybe the supervillain machinations of other people. It's just I don't know what I'm doing. Right? I'm just I contained in me is a lot of frustration with the world.
He has the seed of supervillainy, and unfortunately, Riri Williams sort of waters that seed quite a bit over the course of this show.
And that's the thing, too, right? Is that his rage at her is really like, how dare you awaken this in me? I was living a peaceful life, is an interesting dynamic for them. But he still doesn't hate her and still won't kill her and still isn't the villain that the Hood is.
Right, because, again, the villain, his whole thing is just like, power and wealth at any cost, and that cost is me at the end of the day.
Oh, I mean, I love the whole thing of the dark magic literally corrupting his body and him trying to fill it in with tattoos and all that stuff. Great.
Yeah, I love the magic side of Marvel and just how like deep we've been getting into it over the last couple of years between this and Agatha and Multiverse of Madness.
Mm-hmm.
I really love... There was this tendency in the early MCU to be like, magic is just technology we don't understand. And now it's like, nah, it's just magic. Don't worry about it, man.
I mean, it's like everything. It's this building thing of new, things are uncovered throughout it, right? So it's like, well, the magic we saw up to a certain point was that, and then eventually it started to become more magic, and then now, yeah, we're dealing with other dimensional beings and stuff,
Right.
which obviously we did with Dormammu. I love the Dormammu thing in this too, when Mephisto is like, Dormammu, you think that's who I am?
What a chump! Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like I'm the real deal, man. So loved
And
it.
The fact that we got Zelma Stanton in here made
Yeah.
me grin to no end, because I'm a huge fan of have you read Strange Academy?
I have read Strange Academy. I also read Jason Aaron's Doctor Strange, which I love, which is where she was first introduced. But yes, Strange Academy that has and it makes sense she's in this, because I know that's something that's in the pipeline of things they want to do as a Strange Academy TV show. Which would make sense.
Start seeding all of our other magic characters throughout the world. And
I saw an interview with that actress. They talk about, like, you excited to meet Doctor Strange? She goes, "Oh, I think she's already met Doctor Strange."
I mean, that's speculation, but
the thing about the mind maggots, which is the storyline she was introduced with in the Jason Aaron Doctor Strange. I love that she's got those in the basement of, and the idea that she's running the bookstore / sweet shop / magic HQ.
Yeah.
I love it. No, I was delighted. I was like, wow, I didn't know she was going to be in this.
Yeah, and there's lots of little Easter eggs, obviously, for everyone who's, like, the Hood's crew is, I mean, they're a bunch of disposable goons, but they're all technically Marvel characters.
I know someone who was very, very, very upset about them not being comics accurate.
Sure, that's fine, but
I didn't care. I mean, they're all. I took them more as winky reference names, more so than that they were trying to be those characters per se, because nobody cares about those characters. I'm sorry. If you're the biggest clown fan, I apologize, but
Look, I will be more upset if we get Fool Killer or Slapstick eventually, and they're less accurate. But in terms of, like, Clown or Slug, I'm all right.
Yeah. Not my boy Slug. No. Some of them, even I was like, what is it? Oh yeah. I mean, like, Clown is the one I bring up simply because I'm just like, what's his deal? He was a clown. Like, I don't even know what to like. There's so little there.
or I think originally in the comics it's the Blood Brothers, and here it's the Blood Siblings. And like, what do they do? Oh, they just beat people up.
They're just big red-ish guys who beat people up. Yeah, and you're just like, okay. There are times when I'm like, look, we bleed comics, but, like, there are times when I'm just like, yeah, not everything is of equal importance.
We can take an episode of She-Hulk to make fun of Leapfrog.
Yeah, I have no issue with that either. Like, there is only, I can't love all of these characters equally. And Leapfrog, I know he's a character.
He fought Daredevil that one time, I'm sure.
Well, they all fought Daredevil at one time. Yeah. When Stiltman showing up. Yeah. Anyway, all right. So we big thumbs up to Ironheart. I thought it was excellent.
Yeah.
Let's get to what people are mainly here to talk about, which is what they clicked on, which is a fairly obscure character called Superman.
Superman.
Yep, Superman. James Gunn.
I don't know how much soup you have per man, but it's usually a 1-to-1 ratio, in my opinion.
By the way, I don't know how much you know about. I'm a big fan of the With Gorley and Rust podcast.
Sure.
And they always do different titles for their miniseries where Matt Gorley changes his last name to be a rhyme scheme with whatever it is. So it's like in Voorhees we trust with Gorley and Rust. They thought in Kruger we trust with Gruger and Rust was the. And this one became in Susan We Trust with Gorley and Rust, where they did Superman movies, because it started as Soup's on, as in Superman is on, and then it changed into Susan, and so now it's in Susan We Trust with Groupon and Rust.
Oh, Groupon. Are we getting 50% off?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, he did. He did talk about, it's really just a promotional campaign, really. But anyway, I had recently been listening to their episodes about the Christopher Reeve Superman movies, And which you're like they're changing. They're changing the format from horror. I don't know. Have you seen those last two Christopher Reeve movies? All right, lot of obviously, lot of hype, lot of buzz, lot supposedly riding on this movie. Though James Gunn has really tamped that down. That's been on a lot of press. Though it's like, okay, it doesn't have to be the highest grossing movie of all time, or I'm out of a job. The stakes that people want to create for this movie.
Sure. Look, there was a time in which a Superman film was made that barely contained the name Superman. In fact, it was called Man of Steel. And that started us down a dark path. Some might say it was a dividing point in our timeline in which things got worse. I know you defend Man of Steel, John, and I think it's a fine movie. But
I like Man of Steel.
There are people who have made that film and the films of a certain Snyder their personalities, and they are a vocal minority.
I am far from a Snyder bro. I'm just a guy who likes Zack Snyder's movies.
Sure.
And I enjoyed his take on these characters, but I would never argue they're definitive takes. And, he made his trilogy. I've got a box set of it, and I'm good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Give me it. But yeah, the I mean, it really is. It's more sad than anything, I feel like now, especially the machinations to bring this movie down were never really going to have any impact, and they didn't. And because this movie opened to really good numbers, and made more money than Man of Steel, but according to that section of the internet, not if you adjust for inflation.
Oh, well, okay, fine. Well, if we adjust for inflation, then what is it? Gone with the Wind is still the highest grossing film of all time?
Gone with the Wind smokes everything. It's not even close. No, I mean, that's the thing. It's just like, you want to play that game, we're going to completely shift a lot of understanding of box office. You can't play that game. But anyway, it's been an unfortunate thing, as always. We can't have nice things. Somebody's got to be a dick about it.
But that being said,
minority.
Again, vocal minority, and I think there is such positive word of mouth around this movie that it is sort of overwhelming the negativity in a way I haven't seen in a while.
Yeah, it's because the movie is such an overwhelmingly positive film, right? Yeah. I mean, I think that's a big thing. Is it's very, and I know people are, but I would say if you actually see this movie and really engage with it, it's very tough to be too nasty about this movie, I feel like, because it is so earnest and sincere that you can quibble with things, and I see people talking about pacing and things like that, whatever, but in general, it's just it's hard to sew in the right place that if you're coming after this movie, you're kind of coming after kindness in a way, right?
That's a little hyperbolic, but I think you do have to enter into watching this film totally arms crossed, about as topped off with cynicism as you could possibly get, to not have at least a little bit of fun here. And if fun isn't what you're after, then fine, go watch a different movie. But this is a big, colorful superhero film where Superman has a very fun, goofy dog. He saves a squirrel at one point, and it's delightful. And fucking Nathan Fillion's haircut is just the dumbest thing you will ever see put to film, and it's great.
And he rocks it. What I love about that in particular is the way that not only does Guy Gardner talk about his own haircut, but the way he struts around. This dude thinks he looks good.
I mean, that's Guy Gardner to a T. Fillion nailed this.
Oh, Fillion. I mean, it fulfills a dream for us forever, right? As those nerds who are always like, who should play this character? Nathan Fillion.
I mean, Nathan Fillion was the fan cast for Hal Jordan for the longest time.
And little did we know, of course, and actually it makes sense, especially if you're, a fan of the kinds of comedic roles that he plays. He always should have been Guy Gardner, though. That's a part. It just is teed up to him, and it almost feels like his performance in this movie is like, oh yeah, finally, I get to stretch these muscles. Yeah, I was born to do this.
Yeah.
That moment, the Guy Gardner moment of the movie to me is when they show up in Jampur at the end, and he's just like, Yeah, kid, Superman couldn't make it. And he spits his gum out and goes, you just got an upgrade. And he says it with, like, he really believes he is way cooler than Superman.
And again, like, if you go in arms crossed, topped off with cynicism, maybe when he starts making giant middle finger constructs that are blowing up tanks, you're like, well, this is pretty silly. And you're right, it is silly, but you can either, like, laugh and enjoy the silliness, or you can go, yeah.
One thing I think Gunn in particular, and why he is so right for DC in particular, which I do think in general, maybe silly is the wrong word, but like DC, it has always been more colorful and cartoonish than Marvel in general. Of course, there are individual books, on either side, but
sure. But in broad strokes, it is a more, let's call it vibrant.
Yes, I think that's a perfect word for it. And so I think the thing Gunn has always been so good at in his Guardians movies, and now particularly in Superman, and even in moments of Suicide Squad, which while being R-rated is still way crazier than a lot of other comic book movies. It's not gritty per se. The thing I think he's always been so good at is things that are inherently silly that he treats with total sincerity.
But the sincerity is key to this film. Like, this movie is nothing if not sincere.
I mean, that's the biggest. I mean, it almost feels like that's the he returned to and even brought it. I don't know if he brought the real one out, if they still had it anymore, but he brought back the sign that Richard Donner had in his office for the original Superman movie, which said verisimilitude. That's the name of the game, and that's how you make Superman.
But what he is good at capturing is the idea that these people, or the characters we are being shown, exist in the context of this world. They don't exist in the context of our world. No. The scene that typified this for me is we have that sequence where Clark and Lois are having this discussion about like the dog's missing. Like, I'm going to go turn myself in. Like, I need to, the quickest way to find crypto is to just like turn myself into the authorities after everything is broken bad. And in the background of that scene, the Justice Gang is fighting, what do they call it? An interdimensional gremlin or something?
An interdimensional imp.
An interdimensional imp.
Yeah.
And like, this big crazy superhero fight is happening in the background of one of the most like Superman moments in the film, in which like, no, my dog is scared and alone. I need to go find him, and I need to face the consequences of this.
A totally dramatic exchange between two characters. It's a totally serious scene, and it's Superman at a low moment, trying to figure out what he's going to do, talking to the woman he loves, and then I love that in the beginning of it, Lois goes like, "Shouldn't you be out there?" And he just looks out there. He goes, "No, they've got it. It's fine. Somebody's on it."
It's interdimensional imp. It's fine.
At a certain point, you see like Guy Gardner has made a construct of a baseball bat, and he's just bashing it over the head with it. That to me is, if there's anything that's going to define not only this movie but seemingly what James Gunn's DC universe is going to be. It's that, which is just, this is a world where when the other thing that kind of indicates that same mentality is like when Superman's fighting the big kaiju monster and people aren't running. They're coming out with their phones to watch Superman fight the kaiju monster. This is something that happens a lot in this world. They're just oh shit, Superman fight's happening. It's only when the fire hits the building that people are like, fuck, we got too close.
I think it really comes down to the opening of this film, right? Mm-hmm. Because this movie is trying to it's drafting on All-Star Superman in some big ways, thematically, and how it presents itself. That's
one of the cornerstones of it. You can kind of point to, he pulls from a lot of stuff, but there are a few key, this comic, thanks to the influence. All-Star Superman is obviously a big one.
Yeah, but this movie opens with a series of title cards over the scene we're being presented of Antarctica in a very All-Star Superman opening way.
Yeah.
In which we establish the history of the DC universe going forward. And that is 3 centuries ago, super people started showing up,
Yep.
and that is the history of this world. Is we've had super people for 300 years.
Yeah, and then 30 years ago, a baby came in a rocket and into the hands of Kansas farmers. 3 years ago, he revealed himself as Superman, the most powerful of metahumans. Was it 3 weeks ago he stopped the battle in between Baravia and Jarnpur?
Mhm.
And 3 minutes ago he just lost his first fight.
Yeah,
And then it's the scene from the trailer, and he slams into the snow, bloodied.
I really love that sequence is literally the first scene of the movie, because it really worked to like warp expectations about how this movie was going to proceed, right? Because you think like, oh, they're showing us something from like maybe the end of Act 2 where Superman gets his ass kicked. It's like, no, that's how we start this film.
Superman has just lost his first fight, and he is in a bad way. I mean, if you've seen the trailer, you've seen it where he's wheezing and spitting up blood. Gunn talked about it. I just watched just yesterday. Shout out to another podcast, Happy, Sad, Confused with Josh Horowitz, which is one of my favorite interview podcasts. He just had James Gunn on for a full spoiler-filled discussion breakdown of the movie and stuff like that. So if you're really looking to get answers from James Gunn, but he talked about that was one of the first images when Gunn was conceiving the movie he had was a bloodied Superman laying in the snow. That he wanted a Superman who, what did he say? I didn't want Superman to be so powerful that a guy in a green suit with a bow and arrow didn't matter to this world.
Yeah. And that's always a thing with Superman, especially in the comics, is like any superhero, depends who's writing it in terms of like how strong or like apex this hero is going to be. Even with Batman, there's like, oh, there's the Bat God that is always thinking 3 steps ahead of like immortal beings that are trying to conquer the multiverse. And there are Supermen that can push planets and can fly backwards to reverse time.
Right, absolutely. And I think, it's so the opposite take. It's not a refutation. It's not. I don't think consciously, and not in a shitty way, at least. It's not. The people who see this as like, yeah, this movie says "fuck you, Zack Snyder." It's like I don't think it's saying that, but Snyder definitely was interested in like, if you have all this power, what a burden it must be. Right? Is the whole point of Snyder's thing. And this movie is much more interested and Gunn has talked about this too. I'm more interested in the man in Superman than the super.
Sure. And I think this movie does an incredible job of highlighting the differences, but also like the overlap between where does the goodness in Superman come from and how is that is kind of the burden that he bears, is the like, I just want to be decent and good, and that gets in the way sometimes of the real world, quote unquote.
I think it's very similar to, and I remember thinking this when when people talk about how do you make a good Superman movie in today's, you look at what they did with Captain America, and I think there are some of the same threads over at the MCU of like, these are guys who are so pure of heart, so good, but that's not gonna fly in the world of people making compromises and morally gray decisions and, situations that have no right answer. And then you have guys who live in this incredibly black and white morality, and that's going to be, that's going to be a figure of controversy. That is something that I do think both Gunn and Snyder understand about Superman. They approach it in totally different ways, different tones, but they both understand that he would be at the center of a lot of controversy if a Superman existed.
Yeah, well, it's the paladin mentality. It's the I'm going to do good regardless of what the systems around me perceive as good because I have the higher moral authority. Now, again, that in itself causes issues, and that's how you get a Lex Luthor arguing like, well, who are you to decide these things? And that is one of the central like cornerstone moral arguments in this film is like, who are you to stop a war between nations?
Yeah. Is it possible more people died because of your actions, even though you supposedly saved them? It's just like, the whole thing too. And obviously another thing that's in the trailer, but in the movie is so impactful is that and really is the thesis statement of the movie in so many ways, right? Is that interview scene between Lois and Clark.
Oh, it's so good.
It's so good. And the whole thing about like where he's just like, I stopped a war, and she's like, maybe you did. I don't know.
And she's trying to come at it from the objective, the journalistic, like devil's advocate side, and that sort of quibbling is a foe Superman can't beat.
Right. Because I mean, I love the whole thing about it. He goes, was that what you think? She goes, I'm not the one being interviewed here. I don't, what my opinion is not you're Superman,
Yeah.
And it is sort of this thing about like, well, of course we're going to, as an audience, our sympathies are to Superman, because I do agree with the guy who, to him, it really is as simple as he yells, people were going to die. End of story.
It's so powerful. It's so good.
I mean, there are several key moments in this movie, and I mean the whole movie is, but there are several moments where you're just like, that is so the core of who this character is.
When he beats the kaiju, or when the Justice Gang swoops in and helps him beat the kaiju, and Superman's like, "Oh, did we have to kill it?"
Yeah, I love the line too, a very comic booky line about maybe there was an intergalactic zoo we could have taken it to, or at least found a more humane way to euthanize it. My God. I mean, and that's the other genius thing about this movie. When people initially were like, Jesus, he's putting a lot of characters in this thing. Is that going to be a good decision? Yes, because how do you... The thing I think Gunn figures out is, how do you prove why Superman is such a great character? You juxtapose him against other superheroes. How he stands next to other people is what makes him Superman.
The long-standing comic book refrain of Superman is a boring character comes from this idea of him being the off-white color you paint a wall when you don't have another iota of creativity. That like, oh, he's just the good guy doing good things. And yes, on its own, it is sort of boring, but it is when you juxtapose it, when you have him being daring to be a moral figure in a world of grays. He lives in this like idealized version of what it could mean to be a hero. And in that aspirational way, he makes other heroes look up to him. That is when we get like the really interesting. I mean, that's why the Batman Superman stories are always the most interesting, right? It's because like those two characters are so yin and yang to each other.
No, those are almost always my favorite comics at DC. Are when the two of them are in it. They're two great they're two great tastes that taste great together, right? Like it is just. But no, it really is a thing where you're just like, man, when you get those two perspectives, that just crackles, man. It just you get those two guys. It's the same thing with to a darker extent, but the same thing we talked about in Daredevil and the Punisher. When you have that challenge of each other, you're just like, man, that is just inherent drama to get these two guys talking to each other.
Right.
That's why I can't wait to see this Superman talk to a Batman, whatever Batman that may be.
And the same is true for, to like a lesser extent, like Daredevil to Spider-Man, which is obviously like the next rung up, but it's still that like Spider-Man is the more idealistic, and Daredevil's the guy who's like, well, no, I have to break these people's bones.
Right. And then Frank Castle goes, I have to kill them. So you're like, Jesus.
Right.
But I think that, that's the thing that's of course, I love the Justice Gang. They're I mean, the MVP walking out of this movie, everybody's great, but it's Eddie Gathegi as Mr. Terrific, right?
Oh, yeah. And obviously there's a lot of hay to be made about this being sort of a redemptive arc for him as an actor, in terms of like kind of how screwed he got in X-Men First Class.
As Darwin, yeah.
Yeah. Of just like a character who just gets jobbed for no reason in that movie. And
it's a real bummer. And
in an
otherwise great movie.
He is a fantastic actor. He's all over the place on, what's that show? For All Mankind.
He works a lot. I mean, he's certainly not a newcomer by any means, but this really is such a spotlight movie star turn in this thing. And a character a lot of people probably don't know. I mean, we know Mr. Terrific, but this is going to be the first time for a lot of people that they meet this character, and you just love him. And already there's, rumblings. Although in that interview I was watching with Gunn, where it's like there's rumors about a Mr. Terrific show, and he's just like, oh, Jesus. I don't know. I didn't start, it's like a thing where it's like, I'm not
Yeah.
saying that can't happen, but he goes, Jesus, every day there's a report about something else we're working on. But I think a Mr. Terrific show would be great.
Mr. Terrific would be great, but I do love that this is a character who is a pretty typical comic book super genius. Yeah. And we haven't really had a chance to see any of those outside of Tony Stark in terms of comic book films. I love this take on them.
Well, he's so different than like I think it's going to be very interesting because, of course, as we're recording this next week, we're about to get maybe the most famous one of those, Reed Richards, on screen. So, and Mr. Terrific, of course, even a name, right, is sort of the Mr. Fantastic of the DC universe. But yeah, the idea that this guy's also, he's both super genius, and then I mean, of course, the fight scene with him and Lex's, what do they call it, tech cult that he's got out in the desert or out on the beach with all their in their weird matching Hawaiian shirts, which is very cultish.
See, you say Eddie Gathegi's walking away with this movie, freaking Holt, man.
No. Yeah, I mean, look, the thing is, you could make an argument. Almost everybody is, because Holt is, well, we'll get to Holt in just a second. I do want to bring up the thing I like about the Mr. Terrific scene, besides it's just an awesome action scene.
Yes.
Is when he's walking there and you just hear one of the Raptors go, "No, it's the smart one." Like stand down, guys. And then he just proceeds to beat the shit out of these guys.
Yeah, I love his little terrific orbs, the T orbs.
The T-spheres, yeah.
T-spheres.
Circles. When Lois Lane calls them circles.
And he gets so offended, circles are two-dimensional. These are
T-spheres. I mean, he has so many of the big laugh lines too about do you see Superman? I see him, alien baby, a dog in a cape, and a squiggle man. Even he, a guy who is a professional superhero, there are things in this where he was like, "What the hell is that?" Or the whole thing about, Luthor made a pocket dimension. You don't do that. Oh, that's so dangerous. This is the kind of junk. I love the line. This is the kind of junk science that Luthor has been practicing. But Mr. Terrific doesn't. Not only is Lex Luthor a criminal, he's a bad scientist. That's
why he's a bad guy, is because he practices unsafe methodology.
He is offended as a scientist, Mr. Terrific. And then, of course, literally the applause line is when Luthor's scientist guy is like, "I can help you close the gate." And he's like, "I don't need your help. I'm goddamn Mr. Terrific." It's like, yes! I love this guy so much.
Yeah, for sure. No.
Yeah.
He, as far as the Justice Gang goes, he steals the show. Because, don't get me wrong, Isabella Merced's fine as Hawkgirl, but Hawkgirl doesn't have a ton to do in this movie.
She does get the one super badass moment, though, when she kills the Baravian president.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, the whole thing about
Superman would not have approved of that, so I don't know exactly what we're supposed to take of the tone of that piece.
I mean, it's very Hawkgirl. Hawkgirl doesn't have Superman's no-kill policy.
No, but Hawkgirl doesn't fuck around.
No, and I love that moment where he's just like, "You won't drop me because you are like Superman." She's just like, "I'm not Superman." She definitely, I have heard people go she doesn't do anything in the movie. It's like, I mean, she does she's certainly there more as I do like her smashing her mace into the eye of the kaiju. But she's definitely a seed of something. That character will become a bigger deal going forward. I have no doubt.
But John, how have we not introduced the resurrection cycle of the Hawks in the Superman movie? Damn it.
Okay, here's the thing, and I swear we're going to get to here's the thing, though, on that point, that this is something, I saw this movie, the first time I saw it with friend of the show, Brendan Jones, and something we both were talking about coming out of it that is so amazing about the movie, and I think it's really to its point, there is so little origin of anyone or anything in this movie.
No, it's just, it's taken as rote for all of it.
Which I just think is so refreshing. It is just get on board, man. Yeah. There's a hawk lady. What's her deal? I don't know. She's got hawk wings and a mace. Go.
Metamorpho can turn into stuff. Don't worry about it. He's got a baby.
They don't talk about. There's no thing where they talk about. Ah, yes, Rex Mason experimented on by Stag and no. It's just I found this guy who can make elements out of his body, so I'm going to use him.
Mm-hmm.
The closest you get is which I loved is the Lex Luthor's pitch to the U.S. government about Planet Watch, and he does give a little bit about the engineer, a soldier I filled with nanites. But he's vague about Ultraman because, of course,
Ultraman is a guy I made.
yeah. And they're just because I like the Secretary of Defense guy, and I love him and Rick Flag, Senior, which of course I just love Frank Grillo and being in anything.
Sure, Frank Grillo can be in anything all day.
Well, and he definitely feels like he's sort of aiming into the Nick Fury role a little bit because he's also going to be a big part of Peacemaker. I think he's definitely going to be, and I love his thing in this movie. That Rick Flag Sr. is just like, look, I don't like arresting Superman, but I've got orders. Like, he's just a guy, he is that guy, right? Where it's just like, I have no dog in this fight. I just work for the U.S. government, And it's just like the thing, oh, God, the thing, too, about when you're talking about, aren't you going to read me my rights? Like, well, technically, because you're an alien, you don't have rights. He's, like, not happy about saying that. Once again, he's not a bad guy, but he's just like, I got
and
people.
That was an incredibly topical moment in the movie.
A lot has been made about the politics of this movie, and I would say there are moments like that where, of course, it's overtly, unavoidable. But I would say, in general, like a lot of good genre stuff, the people who talk about this movie is anti-Israel or anti-Russia, it's like. It's kind of anti-authoritarian, I mean, like it's broad. You can fit any number of real-world things into it.
I saw a take earlier today from, believe it or not, Susan Sarandon. She has a Superman take
about politics.
Yeah, exactly. But her take was like, this movie comes down as anti-colonial. If your take is, I'm identifying X country with the colonial power, you're the one putting that on this film. This film is like, it's not identifying any of these countries as a specific place because it's using made up DC country names.
Nor should it. I mean, that's the thing about, I don't want a Superman movie to be like about this moment specifically. It's the thing about the X-Men, right? Well, the X-Men were a stand-in for, black people during the civil rights movement, but now you can read them as queer people. You can read them as neurodivergent people. You can read them as anything, right? Because it's a broad thing. And that's one of the things I love about science fiction and superhero stuff, right? Is
sure
it's saying very big things in a way that's purposely obfuscated for you to make your own. Is Star Wars about, it's Gilroy talking about, I'm not writing about Trump, you guys, not specifically.
Yeah. Writing about authoritarians and fascism and how it seeps into ideologies and cultures.
And so you can find that anywhere. I find it so funny. I don't think we've ever hid what side of the aisle we're on things, but like the idea that I see conservatives try to be like, yeah, we're the rebels. I'm like, oh, okay, buddy. All right, sure. Yeah. I mean, once again, you can read into what you want. I'd love to hear more about that argument. Anyway, to the point of this movie, yes, that is the thing I like about it. It is about immigration, or it is about an immigrant. It's not about U.S. immigration policy.
Right. It's about somebody working and living in an adopted home. And knowing that and being upfront about it, and how everyone else makes assumptions about him based on the fact that he is not, quote unquote, from here.
He's not even a man. He's an it.
Right.
Let's talk
Nicholas Hoult, man. Let's talk about Lex Luthor of this movie. There's a theater near where I live that always has great marquees, and the marquee for their Superman release, it says Lex Luthor is bad in Superman.
Yeah. Here's the thing. I don't. Lex Luthor is often a problem for me in almost every version of Superman. I love and grew up obsessed with the Donner Superman movies, Superman 1 and Superman 2, which is effectively a Richard Donner movie who's not credited. But I always, even as a kid, struggled with Gene Hackman's Lex Luthor, despite the fact Gene Hackman is probably my 5 favorite actors who ever lived. But it was always, I never bought the threat, barring moments, and there are great moments. That moment when about the missile headed to New Jersey, and Miss Tessmacher says, "But my mother lives in New Jersey," and he just looks at his watch and then shakes his head. Incredible. This is the first time I've ever seen in a movie comic book Lex Luthor, at least as the way I see him. This is the greatest portrayal of Lex Luthor to me.
This is like, it goes toe to toe with what we would, I think that you and I are pretty unified on this. The greatest like platonic ideal of the Superman Justice League stories are going to be the animated series, right?
I mean, Bruce Timm is the barometer, right? And I agree I saw a lot of people say this about this feels like a live action version of the animated series, and it does in many ways. I think that's one of the highest compliments I can pay it, because the Batman, Superman, Justice League are just the purest versions of those characters, and always will be.
It's really tough to deny that fact. And that version of Lex Luthor across Superman the Animated Series and then also in Justice League is like, I mean, if Nicholas Hoult isn't like pulling directly from that interpretation of Lex Luthor, he's at least getting to the same roots as that character is portrayed on those shows.
For sure. And I do know, talk about another thing that was a big text for them, and I heard Holt talk about this, that Gunn gave him Brian Azzarello's Luthor, which is...
I love that book.
An amazing comic, and is very much... And is, of course, it's what I would give him, too, because it's the most getting into Lex's head. And that is this guy. He is... And I love that Superman identifies this, man, where it's just like, if he just got out of his own way, he could really be a benefit to the world. But he is so angry, and oh god, I mean, there's so many. The speech he gives when he says, "You're just envious," and he's like, "Yeah, I am. Envy is what drives me."
Yeah,
like just the idea. I won't deny it. I mean, honestly, it'll never happen because it's a comic book movie. But really, this is truly award-worthy work from Holt. Like, honestly, he deserves... It'll never happen once again because it's about a guy who flies in a cape, so it's inherently stupid to the Academy. But it's... Yeah, go ahead.
What this movie does with its main antagonist is something that is so rarely seen in films in general and superhero movies specifically, in that there is no iota of empathy this film has for Lex Luthor.
No.
Even with a character who is like let's pick the most like purely evil MCU bad guy, and that's Malekith the Accursed. All he's there to do is be an asshole.
He is the personification of darkness, right?
Right. But there is this iota in that film of, Odin wiped out the Dark Elves and he was super messed up about it.
Yeah.
And okay, so there's some reciprocity there of just like he wants revenge in a way. Lex Luthor has none of that in this movie.
It is just this guy shows up and Luthor is like, fuck this guy.
Yeah.
And then proceeds to... I mean, the movie doesn't really go into what he was like before Superman showed up, but whatever he had going on, he has destroyed in his pursuit of some perceived vengeance against this guy.
There's a chicken or egg question I've been asking myself about this version of Lex Luthor, and that is, does he invent a pocket universe so that he can do super science stuff unethically? Or does he invent a super science pocket universe in order to simply thwart Superman? Is that what drives him to create an entirely secondary reality?
I don't know. I love when he says about how he created, he goes, yeah, I was trying to recreate the Big Bang, open this pocket. Like, he just tosses it off like, I was doing some science shit. What drove him to do that? I don't know. What I like is that you can't tell. Is that whatever it is, his whole life is now about this guy. And that's the thing about it, is like, this is a guy who doesn't sleep at night because he's simmering about that fucking alien is out there somewhere and people are writing nice things about him. Ooh, that just pisses me off.
Such steams him so hard.
There are so many shots in this movie where he doesn't say anything and he is the most Lex Luthor reactions, both in rage. Maybe my favorite image of Lex Luthor in any movie now is that moment when the engineer is filling Superman with nanite, and it just goes to that subtle low angle shot of him, and he's just got this look like, yeah, this is gonna kill him.
See, and my favorite moment, and it's so dark for this movie, is when he kills that food cart guy, and he like puts the one bullet in the revolver. Yeah. And like we're playing Russian roulette with this guy's life, and it goes off on the first bullet, and he's like,
goes off on the second, but yeah, it's it goes off. He does one, and then it goes off on the second, and he just goes, "Huh, I thought that would last longer."
Yeah, and he's like, "Well, gotta find more people to kill. Bye."
Yeah. Total disregard for human life.
Yeah, I mean, he has a private prison for people who said mean things about him.
That woman wrote a blog about him, Gorgoni. It was very mean. I love that he goes, yes, I've been opening it up. He's renting it out to governments to throw in their dissidents, and also a few personal things too, No, it is, and look, the fact that
unrepentant bastard Lex Luthor is just perfect.
And honestly, they hired, I think, truly one of the best actors working today. Everything I see Nick Holt in, he is just an incredible, and has been since he was like 10 years old. He's just one of those,
all the way back to About a Boy.
Which I remember being blown away by him in that, and then following him through to things like Mad Max and the X-Men movies, and last year he's in Nosferatu and a criminally underseen movie called The Order that people need to see, where he plays a neo-Nazi leader with some similar energy, although weirdly that guy has more chill than Lex Luthor, despite the fact he's trying to create a white supremacist overtaking of the U.S. But he is just, and I saw people say this, is there a more genius meta casting than that he was the runner-up to play Superman in this? That you cast as Lex Luthor, the second choice for Superman. How perfect is that?
I mean, that's right up there with Sebastian Stan being cast as Bucky, right?
Yeah, because he reads a little dark to be Captain America. So let's make him Bucky. But no, it worked out because he's incredible. I do have speaking of that moment with the revolver, and I guess this is just a brag, I do have a signed photo of Nick Holt in my room over there. Nice. Holding the revolver, and it's now one of my prized possessions, especially after seeing the movie, because I got it like well before the movie came out, and Brendan said, he goes, "What if it's bad?" I'm like, I don't think it's gonna be, and even still, I don't think he's gonna be bad in it. I feel all right having this on my wall, and now I'm very happy I have it. And I didn't even know the context of that scene, but yeah, that is. Gunn did talk about on that they cut out a couple things, and they cut out one scene. There was more to that scene after he shot the guy. His blood pooled on the ground and it was, he's like, "Oh, I can't let this get on my shoes." And he made the Baravian guy lay down, the Baravian president lay down in the pool of blood to sop it up so it didn't get on Luthor.
Oh my God.
And that was being too much, apparently, by the people who were, yeah.
I don't disagree, but wow, this Lex Luthor would absolutely do that.
Yeah, he was just like, because he talks about when you're modulating tone and stuff, and people were like, "That's pretty fucking dark." Like, that he was just like, "Get on the floor and soften it up," and the guy was like, "What are you talking about?" And Lex was just like, "Do it." Yeah. And he does. Let's talk about, all right, so they didn't choose Nicholas Hoult to be Superman, and we lucked into him as Lex Luthor because they found the perfect Superman, right?
They found a guy who is in fact Superman.
Yeah, and I said this immediately after seeing the movie, and I feel that this is how I feel about it. And of course, people are like, "Oh my God, John's about to compare this to James Bond. How could he?" You would never expect it. But I do feel very similar about David Cornsweet as Superman as I do about Daniel Craig as James Bond. He is the best to ever play the role. I'm not 5 years old seeing it, so Chris Reeve will always be Superman to me, much like Roger Moore will always be James Bond to me. But I recognize in every measurable sense, and that's not take away what Chris Reeve did. And a lot of that is just by the fact of the kinds of movies he was in and the era it was too, and especially those last two. Although he's still great in them, but Cornsweet is the comic character come off of the page. Superman is alive in this movie, and he's David Cornsweet.
I need to find it and send you the link, John, but I was looking around at press interviews that Corn Sweat was giving, like in the lead up to this movie. He's just a delightful human being, and hearing him talk is like, oh, he's such a sweetie.
Yeah, I mean, I saw Gunn talk about like, look, he gave a great audition, but he also wrote me a handwritten letter thanking me for the opportunity. He goes, he doesn't even know how far that got him with me in doing this. I was like, what a Superman thing to do.
I need to send you the link. I was watching this interview. I forget what the show was called, but he has like a little dissertation on James Bond, specifically Casino Royale.
Heard something about that. I did hear that he was talking about, but he's also a massive Star Wars nerd.
Yeah, he is.
Star Wars a lot. And I will say, I love that he is a Juilliard grad like Chris Reeve. He's very similar to Christopher Reeve in a lot of ways. The other thing, talking about the press thing, I watched Chris Reeve's son is in this movie. Will Reeve, he plays a news reporter because he's a news reporter in real life for ABC News. And Good Morning America had Will Reeve interview David Corn Sweat. And it was just very nice to hear, that and how much the Reeve family loves Corn Sweat. Because obviously, and as Will Reeve said, he goes, we're not the keepers of the Superman, obviously, but the fact that Gunn made a point to invite them to the set and put Will in the movie, and it is like, which reporter is he? And I would say he's the one that looks like Chris Reeve. Is what I would say about Will. He's the reporter who weirdly looks like Superman because he's got that same build, tall, broad-shouldered, perfect square jaw. But as he said, I don't want to play Superman. I'm not an actor.
That's totally fair.
Yeah, Corn Sweat in every way does similar to what Evans pulled off with Captain America. Is like a naive goober in places, but you're never laughing at him. You love him.
He has an earnestness about him that is so important to Superman as a character, right? And it's one of the things that I will say is what I don't connect with the Snyder version of Superman is we don't really get scenes of that Superman being really, really emotionally earnest, whether it be with Lois Lane or his parents or even Lex Luthor.
Yeah.
Superman just trying to genuinely explain to people why he thinks he's doing the right thing, or just like earnestly moving through a situation and prioritizing human lives over whatever else is happening, or squirrel lives, as the case may be.
Gunn said that was back and forth whether or not that was too far. That almost came out of the movie, but I'm so glad they kept it in.
It's so perfect. It typifies everything I love about Superman. It's like, this guy will save squirrels.
Yeah. I mean, you get the moment with the dog, which I love, when he's holding the kaiju foot and the dog won't go. And he finally uses his super breath to blow the dog aside. There are moments that he is really always about the preservation of life is his main thing.
Yeah. And Corn Sweat brings that earnestness to this role. And I think it is very much typified in the interview scene. I think it is really, really done super well in the scenes he shares with the people who play Ma and Pa Kent. I'm blanking on the actors' names at the moment. But did that scene wreck me.
Yeah. Pruitt Taylor Vince is Pa Kent. Ma Kent is because I've seen him in a bunch of Pruitt Taylor Vince is a character actor who's been in a billion things, so I know him. I didn't
Never Howl. Yeah,
she's also wonderful. The scene where they call him at the Daily Planet, and the most realistic thing is her leaning into the iPhone on the table, going like, "Hi, Clark. We just want to say." One of the things too that I heard Gunn talk about on a different podcast was he's like, "I went and had them learn what a Kansas accent. This is the first time we've ever had the Kents with properly sourced Kansas accents."
Yeah, I mean that's even a thing that the Superman the Animated Series didn't do.
Yeah, I mean it's really, and this is the first time I've ever really been like, oh yeah, they are just Kansas farmers.
Yeah,
like they're just sweet-natured Kansas farmers.
I have to go get my dog because I'm afraid it'll kill my parents' cattle.
Yeah, and I just they're so sweet and unassuming, and the idea is this like, it's not that he landed in the greatest, most heroic people. They're just kind, salt of the earth decency. And that's what's instilled in him.
Yeah, no. And yeah, that whole scene where him and Pa Kent are on the bench at at the beginning of Act 3 is just so powerful. And again, that earnestness is what's there. It's like a dad who is really struggling to convey how he feels to his son, but is clearly unused to saying, "I'm proud of you, son." And so he kind of has to like choke the words out. To Superman is just like, oh, this is peak comic book glory to me.
It really is amazing. And that's the thing about this movie too, is how much of it is just people talking, right? Like, yes, there are amazing action pieces in it, and really maybe some of the best. I think Gunn has always been a good action director, but has gotten better each movie. And he'll even tell you that. Like, it is clear from Guardians 1 to 3, the action's got, and then here, some of the concepts of stuff I've never seen people film Superman, or even superheroes in general in this quite capacity. The way the camera swirls around and moves from person to person and feels very fluid and real and gets very close on stuff.
Yeah, there's a couple of like acknowledgments of the fourth wall that I was a little like, I think we could have really done without that. And then like they're hitting a guy and like one of the raptors and his teeth flies and hit the camera.
Hit the camera lens.
Yeah. I was like, I don't know if we needed that. It's fun. Don't get me wrong, it's fun, but it's just like,
I like that only because not so much this acknowledgement of the fourth wall, but that it makes it feel real. It's a CGI shot that by indicating that teeth are hitting a lens makes it feel like it's being shot with a camera, which I sort of like, just that grounds a CGI image.
I think we've seen a bit of discourse about this, but what did you think about the flight? Superman's flying. There's a whole Patrick Willems video about this that you can go watch, but like, just to distill it down, like, there is a distinct way in which Superman flying is shot in this movie, where it's like straight down the camera, at the camera, him flying, and like velocity lines appearing around him, basically.
And he shoots it with a wide lens, though, which creates this interesting distortion where the person in frame kind of bends, right? So he's shooting with a wide angle lens, but he's shooting a close up, which is sort of counterintuitive. He does this. I mean, the thing about it is, like, I don't know why anyone was surprised during this discourse, because if you saw Guardians 3, he shoots Adam Warlock flying the same way, where the camera is directly on their face, but shooting wide angle. So once again, like, the center of his face is perfectly in focus, and then the rest of him kind of bends out around the frame. It's really cool. I loved it. I thought he does, because the big thing, and no surprise, Snyder shot Superman as this force. When he took off, it would, and it's all about how it affects the world. This Gunn is very, I mean, there's a couple times he does sonic boom takeoffs in this movie. I also, the first shot of Lex Luthor, I love, which is when Superman, after he gets charged up by the sun with the Superman robots in the Fortress of Solitude, when he flies back into the city, and it's just the bright sun of Superman flying back, and then the camera has Lex step out of the sunbeam, and he just goes, he's back. And he's pissed. I love it. But for the most part, though, it is focused on Superman. We are with Superman, and that's what I like about those moments. And that moment that was in the trailer that people bitched about that I love, though, when he does that hairpin turn in the ice, wall of like the mountain range and stuff. We just go when he just kind of flips around, and it's just this eloquence of which he flies. Right? This is Superman who knows what he's doing. This is not, I'm figuring out how to fly. He just effortlessly flies at stuff and flies with grace, but also speed. So I love this.
This is a Superman who was maybe a Superboy at one point and like has mastered these abilities.
Well, something else Gunn said that I'd never thought about, and I heard him say this. I've been watching a lot of interviews with him, no surprise. I heard him say this on Seth Meyers, where he was talking about dispensing with the origin. He goes, it's not even so much that, everybody knows, everybody's seen. He goes, when I first read Superman, I picked up Action Comics 200 something. He goes, what kid is introduced to a character in their origin? I wanted the feeling of just picking up a comic mid-run and going, yeah, there's enough here for me to figure this out, and I'm immediately jumping into this story at the height of its excitement. Superman with all the cool shit. It's not about in movie 2 he is Superman fully realized and doing his thing.
I mean, this Superman has the heat vision. He's got the super breath. He can fly real good. He can punch real hard. I think the only power we don't see in this movie is the X-ray vision. As like a quintessential Superman power.
He does, because he sees the bombs go into the kaiju.
Oh, you're absolutely right. Oh, I completely I thought that was just, I didn't interpret that as Superman supervision, X-ray vision.
I think that's the only time he uses the X-ray vision that we at least see it. I think he might at some point also scan a building to see that there's no one in it, but we don't see it.
Oh, and there's also the whole acknowledgement with the nanites like going over his eyes, being like, okay, we've shut down his X-ray vision.
They say that. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah, they oh man. And the way, once again, I love that Superman is smart in this movie. The idea that he takes them up in the atmosphere, and then as they're falling, they're like, oh no, wait, he's the only one that's protected from this fall.
Mm-hmm.
Like, get out of there. I love it.
Yeah, I love a clever Superman. I mean, because that's how he beats Mr. Mxyzptlk, right? Like, Superman's got to be smart.
If there's anyone who can make Mxyzptlk work, it's Gunn. I believe in his ability to make, and there's any number of ways to pronounce it. I've always said Mxyzptlk, but it's a made-up silly word. So
there are no vowels in that.
Yes, that's the thing. You always outsmarts him. I don't think you can make a whole movie about it, but I think like an opening prologue with a Mxyzptlk interaction could be a fun thing.
Sure.
And I do back, because he talks about all the time that it's his dream to play it. Blank checks Griffin Newman should play Mr. Mxyzptlk. I 100% agree with that casting decision.
Yeah, but only because we're never going to get Gilbert Gottfried again.
That was an amazing idea. like the perfect voice. I mean, look, we can go all that animated show. Every choice, Clancy Brown as Lex Luthor. Oh, the best.
Yeah.
It's so good. You know what's interesting actually is Holt brings up taking a lot of influence from Michael Rosenbaum on Smallville, which I agree actually of the live action ones is probably the closest to the comic. Now he also. It's a little unfair because he had like 7 seasons to, perfect that.
Right.
But he is the closest to being a fully realized Luthor. And that of course did get into like his abusive father and stuff like that. And he was certainly and this guy easily could have all that. It's just this movie doesn't care about that. But but once again, the most Superman thing, I mean, we've said that. One of the most Superman things, actually, because there are like 5 or 6 moments where I'm like, that is the perfect Superman thing, is that at the end of the movie, he's still like, and I still think you could do better, Lex.
Ugh. And that's going to drive Lex Luthor up a wall even further, right? It's Superman condescending to him.
When they put him in the back of that Humvee and they go, take his bald ass to Belle Reve. I was like, oh, man. And he's going to be running that prison in like a week, though.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I can't wait. I mean, and maybe I hope recruiting for a certain legion he might be building.
I mean, look, because Belle Reve's in Louisiana, right?
It is out in the swamps.
And so, just like right next door, we just have a big oubliette rising up out of the swamp. It's going to look like a big dark helmet for some reason. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, man. But
the Hall of Justice was in this movie. If we can't get the oubliette from the Legion of Doom, what are we even doing?
They cut to the Hall of Justice, and they're still finishing the name on it. Dude. And Gunn shot this movie in Cleveland, which is where Siegel and Schuster lived, and based so much of their stuff on, including that's a real building there in Ohio. And he's just like, oh no, the Hall of Justice. We just went to the real Hall of Justice. I think it's a train station in reality.
Hell yeah.
But that was what they drew it based on. And so he just went there and then they digitally put the Hall of Justice on it. Boom, it's a real place.
Meanwhile, at the Hall of Justice.
I mean, they are that narration away from having that cut, though. There is a Meanwhile at the Hall of Justice cut in this movie, which leads us to something we need to talk about the Daily Planet staff.
Oh,
and of course, specifically Lois Lane. Rachel Brosnahan as Lois Lane is once again, she just is Lois Lane.
She's as brassy a dame as you want her to be.
I mean, so much so that she busts into the Hall of Justice and goes, "You guys not going to do anything about this?"
So much so that she is giving a presentation about the corrupt conspiracy network of Luthor's machinations while the apocalypse is happening outside.
Yeah. Oh my God. Her dictating the article to Jimmy, that whole scene when they're in the terrific ship and she's dictating, Jimmy's typing, and then he hands over to Perry, who's like, "Looks good, put it up," And of course, Wendell Pierce was, I will say, the only piece of fan casting I had for this movie, and I was so glad that not that anyone listened to me, but I just remember thinking, like, it'd be a great Perry White is Wendell Pierce, because obviously, anyone who knows me knows my obsession with The Wire, and of course he played the Bond, on top of many, many other great performances he's given and stuff, but he's not in this movie a ton, but every time he's in it, you're like, that is the editor-in-chief of the Daily Planet.
It's because he's chomping a cigar and saying, "Run it."
Yeah, and don't call me Chief. The whole thing about, Jimmy, stop calling me Chief. And
you got it, Chief.
Skylar Gisondo as Jimmy Olsen.
Best Jimmy Olsen? I mean, look, there's not a lot of competition there.
Best Jimmy Olsen, and also best use of Jimmy Olsen, because oftentimes he doesn't have anything to do in any of those Reeve movies, or, I mean, he's not even really in the Snyder movies. Not really. I know there's The Thing, but that's not even really The Thing.
Sure.
There's a guy using his name.
But yeah, he's given something to do. He is kind of critical to them solving a lot of the mysteries in this movie.
He's a competent investigative journalist in this.
Which who is also, like, offhandedly the hottest guy in the room and never realizes it, which I kind of love as a Jimmy Olsen trait.
I love that too, because I think that's a very modern read on it. It's like, actually, what was a nerd like in the 1950s is kind of appealing now, right? Like, he's just a nice, unassuming guy. But part of his unassumingness is he doesn't really do it. He's just like, "Oh, I don't, yeah." When you just get the two women working the mail or whatever in the Daily Planet, they're looking at him and giggling, and he's just like, "What?" Yeah, that he's not. I came out of it. Once again, I had a conversation with our friend Brandon Jones, and he was just like, "Jimmy being a ladies' man." I'm like, he's not really a ladies' man. That's the thing I like about it.
He doesn't realize how big of a player he is, right?
Yeah.
And he would just tell you that he has a lot of friends. And then when you point out that they're all women who hang around him, he'd go, "Yeah, I guess."
Well, I mean, the whole thing with him and Miss Tessmacher is the best. And I love the moment, too, when Lois goes, "Thank your hot ex-girlfriend for me." And he just goes, "Hot?" And they literally cast a Victoria's Secret supermodel as Miss Tessmacher, who's great. Like, I gotta say, I'm like, models.
Sarah Sampaio, I think is how you say your last name.
Yeah, models to actors doesn't always work out, but she's so funny in this, and so, even as broad as she is, feels real in a certain way to a certain kind of woman.
She is that, like, e-girl kind of like Instagram model turned, like, basically a accessory to a rich asshole.
But he's also, like, massively insecure, obviously, and super clingy to Jimmy Olsen. The whole thing about, like, I mean, just the whole idea that Jimmy can solve Lex's conspiracy, but at the cost of, I have to call my crazy ex. Oh no.
I figured we could spend the weekend together. The whole weekend?
Yeah. The whole weekend.
So
and that really is all she wants. Even at the end of the movie, after all this stuff, she's just with Jimmy. And maybe he's okay with it. That was a big thing. Gunn talked about he shot 3 different versions of. There's the one that's in the movie where he kind of is horrified and then smiles. There was one where he just smiled, and then there was one where it was just a dead-eyed, "Oh my God." And Gunn being Gunn, he fought for that one. The one where Jimmy's just, "I'm in hell," and he was outvoted by other people on. He should at least have silent. Jesus.
Yeah. I have a question for you, John. You're more in the Superman sauce than me. Is Tessmacher an invention of the Donner films?
Yes, she is. As is Otis, who's also in this movie.
Ah, Otis. Oh, Otis.
Although in this movie, Otis is, I much prefer, because Otis, I don't mind Miss Tessmacher so much in the Donner movies. Otis, I have big problems with because the idea that Luther's palling around with a guy who goes, "Well, gee, Mr. Luther, I don't want that." The idea in this that he is just like a big, burly, muscly guy, who is probably just the muscle and is the guy who, has to go get the kaiju and release it and stuff like that. Now, I can't remember his name, and I'm sure comic book fans are yelling at me. The other thing I love is the dead-on comics accurate guy with the glasses and the mustache is one of Luther's scientists from the comic, and I can't remember what his name is, but I think he's in the Burn stuff. And I was thrilled that I was like, wow, that is the most comic accurate, just like scientist guy. Oh, it's Sidney Happerstein.
Oh, of course. Michael Ian Black was in this movie? Sorry, I'm just looking through the cast list now.
Michael Ian Black is so good. He's the like Bill O'Reilly guy on the TV going,
"Oh my God, you're right.
Tell me, Lex, we've discovered, And at the end of the whole idea that he's with, and man, the Peacemaker cameo on Michael Ian Black's show.
So Chris.
Yeah. Hey man, check it out. And my favorite joke is, and they've already cut away, but you just hear it in the background. He goes, "The problem with all these superheroes, they're just jealous of how jacked I am." Because I talk about that. They're like, of course, Peacemaker would be the first guy to go on the shittiest, most like propaganda right-wing show, right? He would be the first guy to be like, "Yeah, I got thoughts about Superman. All right, let me tell you."
Well, and of course, Peacemaker being Peacemaker wouldn't realize he's part of the propaganda and be like, "No, they just invited me on the show because I'm so cool."
Yeah, man. Obviously they were looking for a boost in ratings, so they got Peacemaker.
Yeah,
Peacemaker. That's the thing I love about Peacemaker is if he wasn't as dumb as he is, you would hate him. But because he's kind of dumb, you're like, oh, you don't even understand how much you're being manipulated by people. What?
Yeah, exactly.
And it was so fun to see him, of course, and that got a big in the because I went to the Amazon fan screening for this, so of course that got a huge. I know, yeah. But I mean it was fun to see it with that crowd, including a guy there in a full movie accurate Superman costume.
Good for him.
But like that got a huge, of course, round of applause because these are the people primed who are definitely watching Peacemaker, right? So
I mean, look, I just rewatched the first season before this movie came out, so like you're preaching to the choir.
It's the best. That's something I think about going forward and coming out of this movie is we have not had yet I don't think an official DCU, because this is sort of the coming out party for the DCU, but isn't technically the first DCU set.
Right. Monster Squad technically is. Or not Monster Squad.
Creature Commandos.
Sorry.
Creature Commandos. Peacemaker, of course, has been, and Suicide Squad have been sort of like scooped in along with Blue Beetle. But other than Blue Beetle, and even those weren't intentionally, we haven't had a thing made for the DCU that isn't written by Gunn yet. So I'm going to be very curious to see what the DCU is going to be like, because he's been big on this idea about like, no, there's no house style, that he really wants filmmakers to come in and put their stamp on it, as long as the characters are consistent.
The stuff that is like kind of officially, unofficially the new DCU, I would say, is like, okay, Blue Beetle kind of, but that can be its own thing, and we have yet to see exactly how much more out of Blue Beetle we're going to be getting. We have some. It's an animated show coming.
Yeah, they're doing the director of that is writing an animated show, so that will continue on some level.
But like it's clear from Peacemaker and the Suicide Squad and Creature Commandos that there are these like themes and topics that Gunn is like really kind of circling in terms of like, oh, dad trauma, and like what do superheroes have to do with like larger global political issues, and like weird backroom deals between shadowy entities involving metahumans is kind of a running theme between all of Gunn's stuff. So seeing stuff that like spirals out from that, or doesn't even spiral out from it, but like is playing in this sandbox without being concerned with those particular themes is something we still have yet to see.
I mean, I think it's going to be very interesting because the next, I mean, obviously we're getting Peacemaker season 2. And then I think the next movie we're getting is Supergirl, which is going to be, even though it's connected to Superman, obviously, and we just see her a little bit in this movie, which I was delighted by. Drunk party girl, Supergirl. But that movie's going to be, I mean, the idea that they're basing it off of Tom King's Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, that's going to be mostly, if not entirely, off planet. It'll be off Earth in the intergalactic, she's fighting a alien warlord and stuff. So automatically you're in almost a different genre to a certain point, and certainly visually quite different. And Gunn is just producing that. He didn't write or direct it. So it'll be interesting to see what that is. I'm very excited for that. I love that comic. You've read Woman of Tomorrow, right?
I have not. It's on my list of I need to track it down. But unfortunately, now that everyone knows that that's the next movie and people are scrambling to read the source material, suddenly it's scarce at all of our local shops.
Yeah. It's an amazing comic. Surprise. Look, I'm well on board the Tom King bandwagon, as anyone knows.
But we also have next year the Lanterns show, which I am super curious about now that the only exposure to the Lanterns we've had thus far is Guy Gardner.
Yeah, which is kind of the worst, right? But I also just love the idea.
We know that show is going to be centered around an elder statesman, Hal Jordan, and a young buck, Jon Stewart, as kind of a buddy road picture.
Yeah, and it's going to be that one's going to be very earthbound, though, which is interesting. And so they're solving a very earth-centric mystery, according to what I've said. Interestingly, Tom King is one of the showrunners on that. So
he's not written any Green Lanterns, has he?
Oh, he did the Omega Men, which was a Kyle Rayner.
Oh, yeah. Kyle Rayner, weirdly absent from all of this. I mean, not weirdly. You can introduce Kyle whenever.
Yeah, I mean, the thing, as we know, as any fans of DC know, there are as many lanterns as you want there to be.
Have they ever gone into the comics why are there so many human Green Lanterns? Is it just because our planet is so messed up?
I mean, there's all kinds of different reasons. Of course, the fact that Hal technically died, or at least became part of Parallax,
that's why Kyle became
right. But then Hal comes back, so then he gets to keep a lantern. There's different reasons throughout the comics. Of course, the Brightest Day, Blackest Night stuff depleted a lot of the lantern, core to begin with. So, I mean, the answer really at the end of the day is that we are on Earth, so we want.
Fair enough.
Thing in the Jeff Johns run or maybe it's Jeff Johns or Venditti. Somebody could anyway. Where no surprise, Guy Gardner eventually became a Red Lantern.
Shocker.
Yeah, but he ends up claiming Earth for the Red Lanterns and stuff like that, and then it becomes illegal for Green Lanterns to function on Earth. Look, as we know, comic books, anything you can think of has been done probably. I don't envy people having to write Superman comics, because I'm just what do you do with Superman? In the movies you can pull from the comics, but in the comics you're Jesus, what hasn't been done with this guy over the course of 90 years or what, almost 90 years.
We've talked about it. The movie adaptations have the benefit of being the second draft on a lot of this stuff.
Yeah, you can go
you can pull from a bunch of different ideas.
That worked about this, but lose this. Let me talk about one thing as we kind of wrap up here, because I feel like we would be remiss if there's a big discussion about the Jor-El of it all.
Yeah, I guess.
I would say in general, and I don't want to sound ageist or anything. I would say in general, I'm noticing it's a lot of the older fans who don't like this.
Sure. There's a bit in the movie where Jor-El it is revealed that Superman's parents sent him to Earth because...
And Lara, she's totally on board with it too.
She's totally on board with it. But they sent him to Earth because he could effectively take over the world. Now, the way they phrase it is kind of muddy, and we never hear them speaking. We are assured that they are translated correctly by several different sources, including... Mr. Terrific. So
that's the definitive answer to me. Mr. Terrific said it, then it's true.
Yeah. But they say, hey, you can take over this planet. You should do that. And also have a bunch of kids with a bunch of different people.
I mean, basically, right. The idea is go there and regrow the Kryptonian population, essentially, right? As you can be
They don't say like rule over the earth with an iron fist. So like
they do say kill anyone who stands against you.
Sure.
But yes,
but all of that is to say that this is a take on Jor-El that is not new by any means.
No, certainly not. The aforementioned Smallville definitely did it.
But they also, it is a let's say non-traditional take on the Kryptonian methodology of sending Superman here.
Especially I've heard from a lot of, because it's interesting, I'm fascinated by, there are reviews of people, or from people, who their fandom really, being like, I'm a big Superman fan, they really mean they're a fan of the Chris Reeve movie. And
Sure.
so, like, a lot of stuff like that is, like, in people's minds, Marlon Brando's Jor-El is the whole thing about, they're good people, Kal-El, should they choose to be, and the whole thing about, and I love that version. But to be fair, also, we have seen that version a lot.
We've seen that version a lot, and it doesn't seem like Jor-El imprinted as much on this version of Superman.
No, that's the whole point,
as opposed
right?
to other versions. Like, I've raved quite a bit about My Adventures with Superman. I really love that new animated show.
Right.
And that has a version of Jor-El that is, like, basically effectively exists as a hologram, like many versions of Jor-El.
Yeah. We've seen that a lot.
Can more directly interact with his son in a lot of the ways that the Snyder movies also kind of have that.
Yeah, the CW Superman and Lois show also had that. I mean, Jor-El is basically a character as a hologram. So,
and that has a Jor-El that has a very similar vibe of just like, look, I sent my kid here. He's clearly dealing with a lot of stuff, and I'm trying to help him the best I can. This Jor-El seems to be exclusively limited to this one message.
In that interview with Horowitz, he said, are we going to see Clark continue to deal with that? Are we going to see Superman continue to deal with the fallout of that? And he goes, I think he kind of dealt with it in this movie. Like, I mean, I don't know that this is going to, unless somehow, I don't think that, who knows, he may come up with something. This doesn't seem like a Superman who is going to fight a Zod. Maybe.
And again, like, maybe we could go full comic books and like, oh, by the way, guess what? In like current Superman continuity, Jor-El was kicking around not that long ago as like a bad guy.
Well, yeah, that's another thing too. That drug him through the mud much more than this. I don't know if
he kidnaps John.
He definitely does. Yeah, he's a huge piece of shit. Like, the idea that Jor-El is kind of a bad. The thing I've seen a lot of people make the jump on, and I'm not yet ready to say this, because we the only snapshot we have of Krypton is that message, right? So people go like, holy shit, he fucked over all of Krypton. Krypton is a totalitarian fascist state. I'm like, well, I'm not ready to say that yet. That
people have that seeded in their brains because of Invincible. The Viltrumites have done a lot of inevitable harm, but like, it has seeded this idea in people's heads of like, well, the superpowered world has to be a totalitarian fascist state, right?
It's why actually I think Supergirl is going to be really curious to see that, because we know that David Krumholtz is playing Zor-El, Jor-El's brother and Supergirl's father. So I will be curious to see, like, and I think we'll be, because of course if you know the Supergirl mythology, she grew up in sort of a Kryptonian outpost. So I think it'll be interesting to see what Argo City is like.
Kara is a character as opposed to Kal-El.
Yeah.
Kara remembers at least some aspects of what Kryptonian culture was.
She's like, anywhere from 5 to 10 when the planet explodes in the comics.
Yeah. Maybe like early teens is maybe like the oldest she is when she leaves Krypton.
Yeah, I mean, it's comics, so it depends on who's writing it, as always. But yeah. So she, and that's what they've talked about, is like the presentation we're seeing of her, and Gunn has talked about this, the presentation we're seeing her is someone with deep pain. And we get that, you get the sense of here where it's like, she likes to go and get drunk. It's like, yeah, because her world is gone, and she, is processed that. Whereas, to Clark, that never existed. So, and in this, as you're talking about, even less so from the look of it, it was just a message. He didn't have the Brando Jor-El who was teaching him about the ways of Krypton and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So
again, we don't know. We haven't seen much. We do know we have all these Superman robots that are Kryptonian in nature. So who knows what they're teaching him?
Did you love Gary as much as I did?
I mean, look, you make Alan Tudyk voice a robot, and I'm gonna fall in love with him. That's just a law of nature.
Number 4, and then at the end when he said, "Well, number 4 is a name, so is Gary."
This is the third Alan Tudyk robot that I've fallen in love with, if my count is correct.
Are you talking about Rogue One, iRobot?
iRobot Sonny, yeah.
Love iRobot. By the way, underrated movie. I like that movie a lot. And now I will call him by his chosen name, Gary.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah,
Respect the chosen name here.
Gary. Also, brief tease.
Also, he's credited as Gary in the credits.
Oh, is he? I love it. Oh, my favorite credit, and it's just being a nerd for the Donner movies, is it's never said in the movie, but Otis is credited as Otis Berg, which, if you remember the first movie, which I understand people probably don't, but that's all right. There's a whole thing where Lex has built, Lex's plan in the original movie is it's an insane plan. He's gonna
carve off a piece of California and turn it into his own country.
Well, he's gonna nuke California at the San Andreas Fault so that part falls into the sea, making his previously useless property beachfront then. And then he was going to build his own little world. But in it, when he looks at the map, there's a little part of the circle that says Otisburg. And he's like, Otisburg? And Otis goes, it's just a little bitty place. Also, this movie does do the thing, though, where he is going to build Luthoria out of...
Yeah, I love that was his ultimate plan, was like, he's going to carve up this other war-torn country, and half of it's going to be his weird fascist tech utopia.
Well, I love when Lois goes, and then he'll be king, and Perry White's like, king? And Lois like, king. Like Perry going, did I hear that right? King?
This asshole's going to be a king.
We should also mention, just since we're just talking about the Day of the Planet, I just want to make sure we talk about everything that's great in this. Michaela Hoover as Cat Grant, and of course the great Beck Bennett as Steve Lombard.
The fact that they got Cat Grant and Steve Lombard, like Cat Grant, okay, she can be like kicking around and talking to Lois and whatever. But Steve Lombard is a character you can lose immediately from a Superman story.
But I'm so glad they didn't, and they cast the perfect guy. Just to, once again, it further adds to just how fully realized this world is that Clark walks into work in the morning, he's just like, "What's up, loser?"
Just Lombard giving him a hard time.
He's also, and his talk about like, hey man, and he's trying to talk about writing. In sports, we're really taught to paint the picture of what it was like, what it felt like to be and then of course he ends up being, the whole thing about why he doesn't have a seatbelt on the. There's also he doesn't have any lines, but fucking Daily Planet reporter Ron Troop is also there. And they call him out by name. You're just like, man, once again, and maybe he will have lines in a future movie or something. I know a lot of people, and I would certainly, are like, they should make a Daily Planet show.
Yeah, let's not like go so hard at this that like we got to make a show out of everything now. But like, look, does that appeal to me? Sure, yeah. But I don't know what's the mass appeal of the Daily Planet show.
I just think like,
do I want the newsroom but with superheroes? Yes.
I was going to say, give me Aaron Sorkin, doing that.
But I don't know who else wants that.
No. I mean, like in terms of like. Also, you got to think about things that like would appeal to the HBO audience, maybe, and that could be done on a television budget. Certainly, the Daily Planet newsroom show could be something interesting. It's a little bit like the idea of the Gotham Central show, right? Like the whole idea about like, oh, hey, yeah, what are the cops of Gotham doing?
And the problem with that was that, like in the show Gotham, it eventually just became Batman.
Well, yeah. I mean, yeah, that would be. Although, look at the Penguin. I think that's really the demarcation. How do you do that, right?
Sure.
Yeah. Anyway, you mentioned them. I just want to see if I covered anything else here. Oh, we haven't talked about Crypto the Superdog at all.
Crypto's a delight.
I mean, yeah, it is sort of just like, what is there to say? He's the best boy, and
talk about things where we aren't given any origin story whatsoever. It is Superdog. You get it, right? He's got a little cape.
Yeah, the only reveal is that he is Supergirl's dog at the end of the movie. And even still, it isn't like... Gunn has said he is Kryptonian, so I imagine it will be a thing, probably in the Supergirl movie, that we will see that she had on Argo City. But yeah.
And that's fine.
Yeah, and Crypto, confirmed, will be part of that movie.
Good.
As you would expect.
Cool.
Yeah, along with Lobo. We're also getting the introduction of Lobo, of course, in that movie. The main man.
I know Lobo can be an antagonist or kind of an anti-hero at times. I really want Lobo just to be Supergirl's drinking buddy. Like,
Yeah.
she made friends with a weird space biker.
I think this Supergirl in particular could very much be friends with a Lobo.
Yeah.
So, once again, they talk about and Momoa playing that great casting choice. Josh Horowitz was saying to Gunn, he goes, "Oh well, he bullied me into that." He's calling, going like, "Lobo, gonna be Lobo."
I mean, it makes all the sense in the world.
The main man. Well, and
Yeah.
apparently Momoa's talked about like the only comic I actively collect is Lobo. Like he has a massive collection. He loves that character.
Does that surprise anyone?
No, it's just just the idea of him reading Lobo comics and going, "This guy speaks to me, man." There's something about it.
I mean, it makes all the sense in the world, and like, I know there's always going to be the weirdness of like, but he was just Aquaman, and it's like, all right, fine, whatever.
No,
but
I don't care. That casting's too good.
yeah.
I mean, I mean, and that's opened the door for any of them, right? Because I mean, I saw Gunn talk about like, oh yeah, we're 100% looking for things for Cavill to do.
Man, okay. Here's as we're wrapping this
Yes.
episode up.
Yeah.
If Cavill has to come back into the DCU,
Yeah.
where do you? Because I know where I want Cavill in the MCU.
Oh, yeah,
I want him to be Captain Britain so badly.
I'm 100% with you on that. And a lot of people, I've seen that bounced around. He'd be fucking great as Captain Britain. I saw, because I was everybody. I don't want him playing any version of Superman.
Yeah.
That's the lamest answer I've seen. By the way, there's a Superman clone in this movie. Did we mention that?
Oh yeah. By the way, probably setting up Bizarro. I'm not sure, but anyway,
It certainly could be. I like that though. Once again, I like the way that when the mask comes off Ultraman and it's just Superman with long hair, and Lex just goes, cloning you wasn't actually that hard. Like it's just like, oh yeah, I've already cloned you by the way too.
I mean, I sort of saw it coming because at the beginning of the movie, when they get into the Fortress of Solitude and Superman's like, how'd they get in? It's code to my DNA.
The only thing I was trying to figure out is he a clone or is he from an alternate reality? Those are my only two debates. Okay. Of course, Ultraman of the comics is Earth 3 Superman and leader of the crime syndicate.
Right.
Let's open the door to Owlman then. I saw, and I will say, I don't know who, but I saw people banding about who Cavill should play. And of course, everybody's going, oh, Bizarro. Oh, Earth 3 Superman. Oh, forget it. The best answer I saw, because number one, I love this character, and I want Christopher Chance, the Human Target.
Okay.
Go, not Superman, but go make him the James Bond of the DCU.
See, I'm going to go for a weirder swing.
Okay. I think he's a good enough actor that he could do almost anything, so.
Yeah. Etrigan.
Rise the Demon Etrigan. Yeah?
Because I think he can also do Jason Blood, like give him a white streak in his hair.
Yeah.
He's got the pathos for it, and then like
he's
take him in prosthetics and give me Etrigan the Demon.
I think that'd be great, man. I mean, I would love to see the Demon in something. That character is so wild.
I mean, I want him and Jason Blood, and I want them fighting Morgan Le Fay and shitty little Mordred.
Yeah. I mean, I one of the things I would love to see, and it was bandied about for a while that Guillermo del Toro was working on a Justice League Dark movie, and I'm like, oh man, that would have been awesome. I would love to eventually. I mean, we know that James Mangold is working on Swamp Thing,
cool.
Which I can't wait for. That's going to be amazing. Because of course,
I want that to be as trippy as we possibly can in terms of going into the Parliament of Trees and the Green and all that bullshit.
Mangold said he's like, I'm just writing a straight up gothic horror movie. Like I am just going hard at that.
Okay.
Well, I mean, but that could still have some of that elements to it. But he's either going to direct that or the Birth of the Jedi movie. It depends on which draft he finishes first. Boy. Problems to have, James Mangold. Am I going to do Star Wars or Swamp Thing, man? I don't know.
Imagine like starting your day with a cup of coffee and being like, well, I got to work on one of these scripts, and it's going to either be Swamp Thing or Dawn of the Jedi.
Yeah, I think I would call that heaven. Oh my God. By the way, maybe call Corn Sweat. That dude wants to be in Star Wars so badly.
God help me, let him.
Yeah, I did see him say, somebody goes like, because if it came down to it, you know, and he goes, oh, I would break my contract with DC if they gave me a Jedi Knight part in something.
What a statement.
I can't imagine his agents would approve of that, or his lawyers or anything. But yeah, he is just like, oh no, that's the dream of all dreams, is to be in Star Wars. So, you know, hey, man, go for it. He's going to be a big old star. There's no question. Everybody just loves him in this.
There was a great little press video. I think it was on their Instagram for Superman, where it was Holt and oh my God, why am I blanking on the Lois Lane actress? Brosnahan. They like start the video with like, "We're about to introduce you to David Cornsweat. He's very sweet. You be nice to him, okay?"
At the Amazon fan screening, they did a little, "Hey, thanks for coming and being the first to see Superman." And then Nicholas Hoult goes, "You're about to watch a movie about a genius billionaire whose plans are constantly ruined by this annoying alien." I will say their press tour, those three seem to really like each other.
It's been a lot of fun, top to bottom.
Which is great. I also get the same vibe from the Fantastic Forecast, honestly. They seem to be always out there as a foursome that really it gets a kick out of each other.
Oh, we'll see. Watch, we're going to see that movie next week, and it's just going to be them at each other's throats.
I swear to fucking God, I will kill you. Yeah. But yeah, Superman, the highest of recommends. Obviously, we've spoiled the hell out of it, but of course, I'm
going to see it a couple more times in theaters. This is going to be one of my this fits into the same category as Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse for me, of just like, it so typifies the things I love about the comic book, the weird comic book nature of these stories, and cuts to the core of what I love about these characters in a way that, like, I could see this movie becoming a perennial favorite of mine in the same way that Into the Spider-Verse is.
When it finished, Brendan turned to me and said, "That is the most comic booky movie I've ever seen." He goes, and then he said, "Maybe next to the Spider-Verse movies."
Mm-hmm.
In terms of the logic, the style of storytelling, the way it exists in this alternate world that it just takes as reality.
Yeah, exactly. I think there's a lot of strong comparisons to be made between those films, and I think they succeed in a lot of similar ways that I really love.
Yeah, it is just a big old open-hearted superhero movie that I am just like that. And my thing was just exactly that point. I was just like, oh, a Superman comic just came to life in a way that while I've enjoyed pretty much every Superman movie, except for maybe the last two with Reeve, even though they have their moments. I've never seen anyone truly capture the spirit of a Superman comic in a movie until this one, really. Like, it's just like, that is what it is like to read an issue of Action Comics or whatever, right? Like, it's
when it's at its best. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Oh yes, absolutely. Superman. Here's the thing: when you talk about people think Superman's boring, my point is always Superman is hard. Superman is hard to write, but that means when people go like, "Oh, he's boring. There's nothing to write," I'm just like, maybe you're not trying hard enough. Like, you got to think. There's not many on the surface. Batman is so much easier to be like, well, there's so many things you can do to that guy. Superman, you gotta put some thought to it. You know, you gotta really think about what makes him vulnerable and interesting beyond kryptonite. Right. Also, I just hope to see more Metamorpho. I love that guy.
I'm not a big Metamorpho stan. I think he's fine.
Oh, he's so good. And at one point, he's just ahead with a gas vapor trail. And you talk about just being like, oh yeah, shit. That's just that's the most comic booky thing I've ever seen on screen.
That's Swiggle Man.
And once again, the movie's just like, yeah, and
moving on.
Okay. Well, yeah, there's that. Of course, if you want more from us, you can head over to our Patreon page, patreon.com/punchup, that's punchup, get cool exclusive bonus content, as well as help support all the shows on the Punch Up Entertainment Network. And Gregani, where else can people check us out?
youtube.com/@punchupentertainment. While you're there, please let us know. Like, comment, subscribe. Let us know in the comments below what you think of Superman. Good? Bad? Medium?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's up to you. Let me know. Down
And
there in the comments.
if bad, think about why that is. Don't
But
just
like, look, I'm
whoa.
willing to have a discussion about like, hey, why I thought this movie was bad, but you don't have to shit on the concept of a fun Superman movie while you do it.
Also, I'm tired of James Gunn writes too many jokes. Shut up.
I actually thought that was like really restrained, the like quippiness of this film.
It's very funny, but but my point to that is always the Donner movies were funny. There's always humor in Superman. It's a different. I agree with you. It's a different kind of humor than Guardians, but these are way different characters than the Guardians, except for Guy Gardner. He does talk like a Guardians character.
Yeah, because he is.
Yeah, he's a prick, but I've always loved him. So I love.
But yeah, while you're over on the YouTube page, please join us. Come watch May the Panel Be With You to read some comic books with us. Go watch Punch Up Plays, where Elliot and I are in the middle of playing some Mass Effect games. And why not go watch Superman with your friends? That's what we did.
Yay. Go do that. We'll be back in probably just a couple weeks. More. It won't be a full month because it's coming out soon. We'll be talking about Fantastic Four in August.
Super Fantastic Summer continues.
Yes. Oh, what a time to be alive, man.
It has its ups and downs, I'll say that much.
Yeah, but then every once in a while they put Galactus on screen and all is well again.
It's a herald for fun.
Yeah. All right, but I think that's going to do it for this month's Panel Up. I'm John Campbell.
And I will always be Mike Argoni.
Till next month, we're going to panel down.